Hey, good afternoon, or rather good evening. We have another Confederate moment coming up on Isenhour Speaks. Of course, this is Friday. We had to delay it for Thursday because we all were busy on Thursday. I don't really know why, but we were busy on Thursday, so we couldn't do it. So here we are on Friday evening, getting ready for another weekend. Today I want to stay on the topic of the Second Amendment movement that we have in the state. As you all know, the counties are going our way. They're fighting. In fact, you see some in Richmond who are beginning to question. Some of the Democrats are beginning to get cold feet, and they should continue to get cold feet. And that's what this edition of Eisenhower Speaks about. There are, as we know, January 20th is the big lobby day. That's when everyone's coming at the Capitol. However, the NRA, of course, some folks say, well, the NRA, where have they been? Well, they're here. They're not as active in Virginia as maybe the Virginia Citizens Defense League, but they are active. And they are requesting folks to show up on the 13th. That's the 13th it's Monday the 13th. That is when they want us not to, it's not a rally. It's not a rally. The NRA is not calling for a rally at the Capitol. They're calling for people to literally show up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, different times, to actually go into the committee hearings. And each committee has a subcommittee. So these are ways that you actually can sit in the committee meeting and listen to the Democrats ruin the state. And your presence is very important there. Now, for those of us who do lobbying, and this is really what lobbying is, this is an essential part when the delegates and the senators actually see the constituents sitting in the audience. Now, some of these rooms, I'll just let you know about the General Assembly. Okay, let me explain what happens. A bill is given. Let's say it's Bill 69. They're going to take all our guns away. Well, they have to assign that to a committee, and that's where you find out what committee it should be assigned to. And then it's a committee assigned. It will be listed, and then under that committee will be the members of that committee, both Democrats and Republicans. Now, the committee generally will subdivide the bills into what they call subcommittees. The subcommittees are, if you have a committee that has like 15 members on it, 9 Republicans and 6 Republicans. 6 Republicans and 9. Excuse me, I'm a little confused. In other words, if you have a committee that has 15 people on it, you might have 8 Democrats and 7 Republicans. They will break these committees down into subcommittees to do what they call break the bills down and debate them. And these subcommittees are the ones that meet in crazy hours. I mean, it really is a crazy thing. Some can meet at 7 o'clock in the morning down in the General Assembly. Some meet at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It just depends on the subcommittee. They're listed, but they are subject to change. That's why you have to be familiar with what happens on the General Assembly page. That's the page that you can go to find out where these bills are. Anyway, we probably have to have some kind of class. I might actually have to come up here and do that for us next week. Kind of show you what happens. You can keep up with these bills, but what happens is you show up at the subcommittee, and it might be 7 o'clock in the morning at the Pocahontas building in room 5A or whatever. So you go down there and you sit down there and you listen. Now, you can go and speak. If you're against the bill or for the bill, you can speak. There is a time where the constituents can stand up and say, Mr. Delegate, Mr. Senator, I am against this, I'm for this, vote against this, vote for this. So it is a time for the public to speak. Now, let me explain something that's very, 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 very important, you rednecks. They will not allow you to holler at them. They will not allow you to cuss at them. They will not allow you to disrupt the meeting. That also goes for Antifa. Last year, Antifa tried some of their little antics in some of these subcommittees. And let me tell you, I mean, the chairman just does this and boom, the Capitol Police come in and escort those people out. And if they have any problems with that, they'll get arrested. So you cannot go down there and voice your opinion. This is I don't want to use the word solemn. It's not solemn. It's just they're in charge and you are observing. And you cannot speak out of turn. So, but you do have a moment where you give your 3 minutes to talk about the issue, why you're for this or why you're against this. And then they can ask you questions. They can say, well, that's pretty interesting. I've never heard that before. Why would you believe that? Or where did that get information? So the senators or the delegates in these subcommittees can question you. And that's a good thing. You want them to do that because they're trying to learn too. Because a lot of these bills, they are literally reading for the first time in that subcommittee that morning. And so you're asking them to vote on something that they really don't know anything about. And it's not that they're ignorant or anything. It's simply that this time of year, this gets to the complexity of the General Assembly. I do not know the number. I have not heard the number so far. But usually in the General Assembly, in the 60 days that we have a budget year this year, if I'm correct, then that means we have a 60-day General Assembly. If I'm incorrect, it's a 45-day. That's a non-budget. And I apologize. I will have to know that by next time Isenhour speaks. But what happens is they're reading these bills for the first time. Now, what you can do in this subcommittee is you can change the bill. In other words, they might have a bill in there saying that young folks under 18 cannot own the firearm or cannot be taught how to use a firearm. Well, you might be able to persuade them to say, well, let's put that down to where, you can lower it to where it's 15 years or 12 years. In other words, you can help amend the bill is what this situation does. So the subcommittee is where the bills can be amended. It's also a place where the bills can be killed, because what happens is you might have 3 Democrats, because they're the majority, and 2 Republicans on the subcommittee. Or it might be 4 Democrats and 3 Republicans. They'll always have at least one more majority, in this case the Democrats, in this situation. But if you switch one of those Democrats to the 4, in other words, if you have a 7-man subcommittee, which is a very normal thing to have, if you get one of the Democrats to switch to Republicans, then you now have the Republicans can defeat the bill in the subcommittee. Okay, now I know that's kind of complex, but you can defeat the bill in the subcommittee, which means it's dead. It doesn't go anywhere. It's in the story. And if you do that in the Senate or the House, then that's how you kill the bills before they get to the actual Senate floor or the delegate floor. I don't want to get confusing to y'all, but this is how it works. So what the NRA is going to do on the 13th is they are calling for folks to come in and sit in these subcommittees. Now, they will have the pieces of paper and stuff that will have the bills on it that they're against or the bills that they're for, and they'll have them, and you actually have the bills so you can read them yourself. But you sit in the subcommittee, and you can read these bills. If you say, well, I don't like this, you can actually stand up and say, well, this is part of the bill I don't like. And so the delegates or the senators will take their choice to whether they agree with you or not. So this is where the sausage, you ever heard that thing, everybody loves sausage, you just don't know, you don't want to look at how it's made. Well, this is the making of the sausage. And this is what most people, and this is not against Virginians, they're no more or less. This is a complicated situation where you have to go in there and put yourself in the seat and watch this process. Sometimes these subcommittees come in at 7 o'clock in the morning. They might only be in there for an hour. That's it. So it's not an all-day event. You can be there from 7 o'clock, and at 7:45, committees close and they're gone. And they will have a list of bills that they're going to discuss during that time and supposedly vote on. All this stuff is not complex. It's just you have to kind of think of it as ducks in a row. And that's what the NRA is going to help us with. And the Virginia Citizens Defense League will also have their people in there. There will be some other lobbying groups in there, pro Second Amendment groups. And so they will actually help us determine what bills we need to kill, get our delegates to kill it. And if you have a delegate who is a senator from a Democratic district, and you happen to be voting in that district, that's very important that you are sitting in that subcommittee, because you may even know this delegate, or you actually may know this senator. So the public is very important. I just want to emphasize this is not a free-for-all like we have been seeing at the county stuff. You can't go in there and holler at people. You can't talk out of turn. You can't start up. You can't have signs. You can't sit there, woo, this will not happen. This is how the sausage is made, and there's a process of over 400 years here in Virginia on how to do this. So there are very specific things that they do and don't do. And one of them is you are very cordial. You don't cuss at anybody. And it's nice to be dressed nicely. You don't have to put a suit and tie on. You can if you want, but be dressed nicely. Don't go in there ragtag. Don't go in there with T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. You're not trying to do anything other than have your delegate or your senator see you sitting there, and you can talk to them before the committee meets. You can say, Mr. Delegate, I'm from your district. We've never met before. I live at such and such. And they'll say, oh, well, thank you. I really want you to vote against this bill because I'm against this. And so this is a way for you literally one-on-one lobbying with your delegate or your senator. It's a very fascinating process. And to be honest with you, it is how the sausage is made. And it's actually something that gives us complete access to the process. Remember, We only need to turn 3 Democrats in the Senate to not vote for some of this stuff, and we can kill it in the committees. That's why you want to be there for the committees. That's what the sausage is being made. So next week I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit more. We'll put some more stuff up about where you can go on Facebook to find this information. Actually, the General Assembly has a Facebook page that you, not a Facebook page, an internet page that you can go to, and a website, and you can see how the bills are, what's the progress of the bills, and how to do this. And it is free, but it takes thought. Now, there's also a second thing that happens. During this time, the NRA and the Virginia Citizens Defense League are going to want you to call your delegate and your senator. In other words, the senator, let's say, is going to go to the subcommittee meeting that morning at 7 o'clock. You start calling at that morning at 6 o'clock, because their secretaries will take the message and they will say to the senator, literally right up to the time, they'll say, we've got 100 people they're calling to say vote against this or vote for this. And so this is where the times where you're calling really matters, because this is live time calling and saying, I do not like this bill. The senator's supposed to see this morning. I want him to vote against it, or I want him to vote for it. So again, this is a very important stage. Folks, we can win this battle. I know it's scary. I know things on Facebook scare you. All kinds of, he's going to bring in the UN. Listen, the coup man brings in the UN. How's he going to do that? How does a governor of any state call up the UN Secretary General and say, Secretary General, I need 10,000 troops in Virginia? Kind of, isn't there a guy named President Trump that has to kind of do that? Not the governor of Virginia. So this thought that coup man is going to bring in the UN, trust me, that's not going to happen. On the other hand, he might try some stupid stuff. But on this day, the 13th, this is the 13th of January, it'll be a normal day, and this is not a rally, so there's no reason for you to bring your guns. There's no reason for you to come in there in kind of any T-shirts that you're trying to do. You're just going in there as a citizen, sitting down, dealing with the process of making sausage. That's what you need to do. And if you haven't ever done it before, it's fascinating, and we can walk you through this. And more of us that do this, we can defeat. I'm telling you, I'm an old Tea Party guy. I have done this when the Democrats were in charge. In fact, when we took over, when we first came in the Tea Party here in Virginia, the Democrats were in charge. And we had a lot of craziness, but some Democrats will switch their vote because, again, they will react to their constituents. What I mean by constituents, I mean you are in their district. You are a constituent. And if you are a voter in the constituents, they listen to you. So, folks, I'm going to let you put some comments on this. I just want you to realize this is a winnable war, but put down January 13th. Again, it's a Monday. And again, it will be kind of an all-day event because the subcommittees will meet in the morning, different subcommittees, different things. And again, I believe the NRA is going to put out information. I believe the Virginia Citizens Defense League will also have information about this too. I'm just kind of preparing you all that this can be done, and we need you out there. And if you haven't sat down and done this, trust me, it is a fun thing to do. It really is. Got to get up early in the morning and walk a bunch of blocks because where you can park or not park. That's another issue. So this is not a rally on the 13th. This is an actual going into the general legislature and sitting in the subcommittees and being a factor in the subcommittees. I just want to make that emphasis. So this is different than the 20th, two different things. 20th is when we're all going to stand out there, with their guns and everything out on the Capitol grounds. This is actually going to be us sitting in the General Assembly, dealing with the legislators, and I'm pretty sure the Democrats are not going to let us take guns in this General Assembly as we normally can. I think they're going to try to stop that. Either or, it doesn't matter. You don't need your gun in there. It's a very safe place. The Capitol Police are armed. Anyway, so y'all put some comments on and let's get involved. We can win this war. And it is a war, and it is a spiritual war. We can also win this through the process that God has laid out in the Constitution of the state of Virginia. Thank you, folks, and have a good evening. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.